Thank you and welcome to California. This is a great place to come and talk about solar energy because we're in the forefront of certainly the rest of the states, probably, in fact, certainly in the Western Hemisphere. California is in the lead, and that's important. But being in the lead doesn't mean we've arrived at the goal. We've got a long way to go, and I hope that the work you do here, the conversations, the relationships that are formed can help advance the cause of solar energy and renewable energy more generally. Today, of course, we know a lot more. We know about climate change. We now have a population several billion more. We know, if the demographers are right, that the world will add another 2 billion people. 2 billion people. We now have 1 billion cars. When I was governor the last time, there were a couple 100 million cars. In fact, cars are reproducing faster than people. And as long as they're using oil, we got a problem. That's why in California we have a goal to hit 1 million electric vehicles by 2025. So that, just within the last 2 months, we actually recorded over 2,000 megawatts of solar energy being put into the grid, which is more than San Onofre provided. Of course, the sun only works for 6 hours or so, and nuclear works for, 4 times as long. However, it leaves a little bit of a tail afterwards that has to be dealt with. But it's an important milestone. And California does have the goal of 33% renewable energy. We have the goal of 1 million solar rooftops. We already have over 130,000 installations on homes and small businesses. So we're looking at utility scale installation of solar. We're looking at individual homes and businesses. So wherever we can, we are encouraging it. We're number one in the country. We're going to keep on going. It's very critical. Now I know from the idea to the execution to the secure realization takes a long time. And we have to have patience. We have to have staying power. So that's the dilemma. When we look at most of the countries, Germany is certainly an exception, but most are not stepping up to the plate. There is a complete disproportion between the knowledge and the magnitude, the knowledge about and the magnitude of climate change and what it's going to do to our way of life and our response. The response is feeble compared to the challenge, and we got to wake up to that fact. The challenge, one of the challenges is climate change is not news because it's too slow. News is fast. It's what didn't happen yesterday, and climate change has been happening gradually over time. And there's a lot of other stuff that's going on that gets people all excited. And I'm not saying you shouldn't get excited about a lot of trivial things. Why not? It can distract you from other trivial things that may be more irritating. But still, we have to think of what's important and what our responsibility as human beings are. It's not just fun and toys and entertainment and shopping. There's some serious stuff that men and women in this world have to deal with. And those things, there are a lot of them. Producing enough food, creating a safe environment, good schools, medicine, but energy is certainly one of the pillars of modern civilization. And there's a lot of oil in the ground, more than, if we wait for peak oil to save us, we're done. Because we got plenty of oil. I remember somebody telling me once, a Stanford professor, our problem is not too little, too late when it comes to oil, but it's too much, too soon. In other words, there's plenty there. So that's the problem. You got something easy, coal, We only have 40% now, but that's quite a lot. Coal burning, pretty simple stuff. If you can't burn it in America, you put it on a train, ship it over to China or India. So we got market forces. And against that, we have to marshal intelligence and collaboration and political response. Because this stuff is serious. And the fact that people aren't worried about it and don't talk about it doesn't mean it isn't serious. And that's the insidious character of this challenge, that some people know about it. 97% of the scientists who deal in climate science are all agreed. But then when it comes to doing something, it takes leadership. And not just political leadership, but business leadership, church leadership, academic leadership. And that's the context, I believe, in which you come together. You're focusing on solar energy. That's a big piece. There's plenty of sun out there to take care of our energy. It's going to take time. It's going to take technology. It's going to take scientific breakthroughs, research and development. And it's going to take storage. And it's going to take various incentives. Just in California, you have some cities that charge $1,800 for a permit for somebody to put solar on the roof. Well, that's absurd. So we'll fight against that because there's soft costs, and we can bring those down. So from the small incremental step to the long march in getting it done, those are all the elements that you have to deal with. And there's some pauses. Sometimes things plateau. I know some of the utilities feel they have enough for 33.33%, which is our state goal. Well, then you have to find other states. We've got to get other people putting out a 33% renewable standard. We got to get, and we do. We have a law in California encouraging storage because we can't just rely on on sunlight. We got to bottle the sunlight. You've probably heard about that before, bottling sunlight. Well, that's a metaphor for storage. But we can get it done. And, in a time of war, when the invading army comes, people rise to the occasion. But when the invasion is more subtle and more gradual, and then what? Then it takes clarity, it takes courage, and it takes will. A lot of political will, a lot of personal will. And that's what I would urge upon all of you. You've got your businesses or your academic work. All of it has to flow in to this transformation. Because climate change is happening. It's affecting the food supply. We have the number of people going up, the number of oil-fed cars going up, but we have food production now lagging behind. And so we're going to have to slow climate change while we take care of all these other economic challenges. And it's very easy to say, well, we can't turn off coal, we can't go to solar, it's too expensive. Well, you wait 10 years, you wait 15 years, it's going to be a lot more expensive. It's a lot more. So how do we take the future and bring it forward so that we can act on the basis of what we certainly expect? And when I say we, it's not we all the people, it's we a relatively small subset. People in this room, people throughout the country, but in rather limited numbers. And so you not only have to do what you're doing, but you've got to find a way to market the very idea of solar energy. The very idea that we have all the energy we need, we have to develop the technology to utilize it without, at the same time, filling up our atmosphere with some methane and CO2 and nitrogen oxide and all the other emissions and pollutants that are going to reshape what life on Earth is. When you hit 400 parts per million, as we did, as reported by the observatory, the monitoring stations over in Hawaii, it hasn't been like that for 3 or 4 million years. And when it was like that 3 or 4 million years, the sea was a lot higher. The ice at the poles was a lot less. So we got a lot of evidence. We got to find now the step-by-step sequential movement toward the goal. And the goal is an energy system totally compatible with the rules of nature. Humanity's got to get on the side of nature. Now, a lot of people like to fight nature, but we are nature, so when we fight nature, we're fighting ourselves. We're fighting our own life support system. That's really the challenge here. So it's business, it's a livelihood, but it's also a calling to wake people up, to make the kind of progressive steps that are crucial to make sure that we keep going. So we have 130,000 solar installations. We're going to get several 100,000 more, and as governor of California, I guarantee we're going to get there because I'm going to move aside all the obstacles. Whoever and whatever they are, get out of the way. The sun is shining brightly in the state of California. All right. The only thing I want to say is, when you introduced me, I could hear your German accent. And I just want to say I'm going to Germany next week because I still have a few distant relatives from my great-grandfather, August Schuckmann, who came to California in 1852 and has sired now hundreds of little Schuckmanns, some known as Brown. So I'm going to reconnect with my inner Prussian, because we're going to need an indomitable will to overcome all the inertia, the blindness, and the silliness that stands in the way from our obvious destiny and future, which is a renewable, sustainable, solar America and solar world. Thank you very much.